Today we're going to have another botany lesson, and we're talking about how plants move. We often think about how animals move and how they can migrate, but have you really thought about how plants move? We put them in the ground, they're rooted, and they move. They move by their seeds. And so today we're going to talk about some of the different modes of how those seeds are distributed back into the landscape. And so we're going to first start here with a spiny sow thistle. This is often seen as a weed. You might find it growing in your garden in some different places. You can see it has this kind of daisy aster-like flower here. But once those flowers start to decline, what they're going to turn into is your typical dandelion puff. And so those puffs, you can see there's some that are down here that are attached to the spines. But what they're going to do is they're going to get caught in the wind and they can travel for long distances. Now you might be more familiar with the cottonwood tree that is native to Oklahoma, but because the cottonwood is so tall, when those seeds get into the air, they can travel great distances and cause problems in your air conditioner filters and such like that. But that's a way of the parent plant distributing that seed. And it's important not only for survival of that plant, but also, again, if you think about the seed falling right down at the base of the plant, it's going to be competition for those resources, sunlight, nutrients, water, all the things that that parent plant needs to survive. The babies will then be competition. So by releasing that seed out further into the landscape, it will allow it a better chance of survival. Now, this is one method of wind distribution, is with these kind of cottony, fluffy seeds. But another one you might be familiar with is what we often find on maples. And these are the samaras. Some people call them the helicopter seeds or the whirlybirds. And so these are one-winged seeds. So you can see they have a wing and the seed is right here in the center of it. So this is two different samaras right here. That is actually a seed in each side there. So that is a maple, again, another wind distribution technique for seeds. So another form of seed distribution is mechanical. So a lot of our legumes, you'll see that they have capsules. So whether that's okra or hibiscus or even our native red buds. So you'll see that they have these pods here, and they will dry and eventually release those seeds and kind of scatter those a little bit. So they don't travel as far because they're kind of just distributing them a little bit closer versus the wind distribution. Another method for seed distribution is utilizing animals. So the plants will actually utilize those animals to distribute their seeds. And they do that in a couple of different ways. And one is to create a tasty treat for an animal to eat. So this is our native soap berries here. You can see it's blooming, but we also have some old fruit from last year. A lot of times you see soap berries growing along fence lines. And if you think about what's eating these, some birds are eating these, and then they fly, they land on either their utility lines or the fence lines, and then that seed comes out with a nice little pile of fertilizer next to it, causing your next soap berry to start growing. So that's one way. So plants that are distributed by animals might have a longer distance away from the adult parent. Of course, blackberries, any of our fruiting plants have adapted to have a tasty treat for that animal to be encouraged to take that seed a little bit further. So these are some weeds that we have, and a lot of our plants in the umbel family or the Apiaceae family, also known as the carrot family, they have these umbel-shaped flowers that look like umbrellas, if you will. You can see how it's kind of got this white flower to it, but as they dry, they get these sort of stick-tight seeds on them. And if you've ever walked or hiked through the woods, you come back, you check your socks, and you'll have these all attached to you. So again, that's a method of transportation of these seeds. So you think about little furry animals that are walking through, and these get caught in that fur. Anywhere from smaller stick-tights like this to your larger cockaburs that will travel on cattle and different things is a way for this plant to move through the landscape. Now there's another method, which is water. So one of our most invasive plants, the tamarisk plant, likes to grow on on the edge of water. And its seed can not only travel by wind, but is very buoyant as well and can travel through that water. And so you often find it downstream, and that's one way that it spreads and is becoming a problem, or is a problem, in Oklahoma. Now, the reason why we wanted to kind of cover all of this is because it's kind of cool that plants can move. We often think of them as being stationary and stuck in the ground, but they do move. So when we're thinking about planting our landscape, it's also important to remember how that plant might spread in your garden and to consider the ways the seeds are distributed, because you're not just planting that one plant, but you're also planting potential progeny that's going to distribute throughout the landscape.
We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.